chosen generation. We've been called for to show His excellence. Hey, all I require for...
Shalom, shalom. I hope everyone is well. Today I'm going to do a talk about why me? Why has Yah chosen me, or you specifically? And it's entitled Here for Such a Time as This. And the other day I was thinking and having a chat with my daughter, as we do so often. And in that time I was perusing about my life and realizing that Yah put me here for such a time as this. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go over my life a little bit and shed some light on the fact that you may not realize that all the things that you've gone through are preparation for your life now and for the things to come that Yah is going to bring you through. So I started off being born in the West Indies, of course, so that makes me probably a descendant of Judah. And knowing that my parents were here, I'm in Canada, making a better life for ourselves, making a better life for us as a family. So I grew up with my grandmother and my uncles, not knowing my parents for the early part of my life. And I realized that detachment that happened at that early stage is preparation for what may be coming, where Yah says that family will be split apart. You may not have brothers and sisters with you. You may have family that turns on you. I grew up raising my brothers, but now, to be quite honest, I'm not close to my brothers or my sister in that we do things together and stuff like that. We do family things together, or we did family things together. But to say that I would call my bro or I'd call my sister for things, that wasn't something that I had. So I realized that alone is preparation for where I'm going, where I may be alone. It may not be me and my family. It may be me and maybe one child. So Yah was preparing me from an early age. As I grew up and was going to school, I was a nerd. I wasn't the popular kid. I didn't have people coming around me saying, yo, hey, I really like you and let's hang and stuff like that. I hung around nerdy people. In high school, I wore skirts and dresses. It was so bad that the nerdy kids that we hung around together, we would go to the park and read books. And in one of my high school yearbooks, there's a picture of us running through the park with skirts on, kilts at that. From an early age, I didn't fit in with everybody. I wasn't part of the in crowd, so it was okay if I was alone. I was okay with that. So I even went to a high school where I took Latin and German and languages. Who does that? Who takes Latin, for goodness sake? I know now that it was preparation for now, because I had a Latin teacher who would say things like, Christianity, they're all pagan. Christianity this, Christianity that. So she was dissing Christianity while I was in Christianity, and I didn't know at the time that now those words would just kind of ring in my ears as, yo, this is what she was talking about. Get out. But also studying the languages, having that heart for languages at the time, I just loved languages. And now I know that it's preparation for the Hebrew that I'm learning. If I had not prepared my mind for studying languages, Yah knows, I would think that Hebrew was way too hard a language to learn. So He was preparing me way back then for studying the Hebrew. And I now know that. So look back in your childhood and start seeing all the things, the little nuggets that he may have been depositing in you that you were thinking, that doesn't really matter. Another thing that I can now look back on and see that it was Yah was my church culture. I grew up in a church that we were all immigrants from all kinds of West Indian islands. And we all came together because it was easier to be together as this island, and that island, than to be separate in amongst people that we may not have known. So we had that unification in that we were all islanders, but we were all still very, very much, I'm Bajan, I'm Trini, I'm Jamaican. It was still very islandish, but unified in that we were all black together. And I look back now and realize that we were all Hebrews together, but at the time we had no idea. But in that, I had the infusion of the culture of our people. We are a rebellious people. If we had our church board meetings, oh my goodness, boy, those were stubborn, stiff-necked people. But we also had the singing, and that's where I got my first start in singing. And we had the tambourines and the rhythm and the choirs and that infusion in my spirit of, good preaching and delving into the Word. The one thing that I remember from going to my church was that we were black in a denomination that was mostly white, and we had a thing called Bible Bowl. And at that time, it was in my teens, I had to, for this group, learn whole passages of Scripture. So we studied Matthew, we studied Acts, we studied Romans. So I learned whole passages of Scripture. We had a thing called CYC, Christian Youth Crusaders. It was the Wesleyan Church, and we studied whole passages of Scripture. I learned and I learned and I learned and memorized things, and now I realized it's preparation for what I am going to be going through in the end times. So Yah was infusing me again with things. And in high school, this was something really pivotal, and I didn't realize it until recently. I used to sing. Well, I still sing. But at the time, my voice range was exceptionally high. In high school, at school, I would sing really, really low, and I could also sing really, really high. So my music teacher advised me of auditioning for a big Toronto choir. I'm in the Toronto area. And at the time, my piano teacher also was starting a choir, and he auditioned me and took me down, and I was singing really, really low alto with him. And for the Toronto choir, that is Toronto-wide and they travel, they took me really, really high. So at the point in time, I had a voice range that was octaves and octaves. It blew my mind when I went for the audition. And Yah closed both those doors. My father said, no, you can't join. And because I couldn't join the one, I just chose not to join the other. Now, those choirs could have had me in a mental state where I was thinking that I was the cat's meow. And I know some of the people who I went to church with who are a part of a choir that morphed from the one from my piano teacher. And their mentality, I can see the mentality is such that they believe they're the cat's meow because they're in this big choir. If I were in that situation, I know for a fact that Yah could not be speaking to me and I could hear him. I would not be listening to him because I would be around people who would have the same mentality as myself and not want to listen to him because I knew my thing. I read and I sang. How could anybody else be telling me any different? So those closed doors were Yah speaking to me. I went on to get into a marriage that was very, very verbally abusive. I was put down in ways that you could never imagine. I went to bed crying almost every night, for a long time. There were some calm points in my marriage, but most of the time I was crying. I cried, to the point where I said, I'm not crying anymore. And I made my mind up to get out. And I did, because I was getting sicker and sicker. And had I not gotten out, I would have probably died, because just before I left, I was sick to the point of death. That was Yah preparing my mind for the stuff that I would be going through. I didn't think of it then, but I know it now. After I left my marriage, I had a point in time when I was able to heal in a house with my kids, a very nice house. Yah was able to provide for us for very little money. And I had that time where my kids and I could talk, and we could joke, and we could cry about what we'd been through. And my grandson was also born in that time period. So we were able to, really learn to be with each other. And I had a good relationship with my girls at the point in time up until we left that home. So Yah provided that for me so that I have that in remembrance, because as it stands right now, only one of my children is in the truth. So I now have those memories that Yah gave me for now, so that I wouldn't be completely sad. I had good times with my girls. And even though I've been in nice houses, I've been homeless, I've lived in shelters, I've been in situations where people were saying things like, black people, kill them all. I had that in my head, as I've been in situations where I was close by to other people and not able to leave at that moment, not knowing if a person would attack me, going to bed and not knowing where my next meal or next dollar would come from. And I've had jobs that were paying me pretty well. I've had ups and downs. I've had more downs, I would say, than ups, but I've had both sides. And I think that as I was going into coaching, which is what I got trained for after I left my ex-husband, Yah kept closing doors. I thought that I was going to have this big coaching practice and have clients and all that, and everything I tried did not work. I took Facebook ads, I did videos over and over again. There were videos, I used to have videos on YouTube that I've taken down since, but I was talking about domestic violence. I've been a poster girl for domestic violence companies or organizations. I'm still on some of them. I've been a person for World Vision. They still use my picture as one of their things for volunteering. I did all of those things, and yet the financial gain that I thought I was going to get did not come. Yah kept closing doors. Why? Because had I had a taste of all that success, I would not have been able to hear Yah's voice. I believe that fully and clearly. I think that because I've been a person of introspection, I've been a person who questioned, is that really real? That way, Yah was able to use me. If you are a person who wants things always your way, I do like a little bit of rebellion, but as a rule, I like to follow the rules. If you're a rebellious person, he can't speak to you. He can't. If you want things to go your way all the time, Yah cannot speak to you. So I look back now and I realize that it was Yah closing doors, so that he can speak to me at my lowest. So I want to leave you with this thought. If you're wondering why, Yah has been prepping you for such a time as this. He's been prepping you from the time you were born, for such a time as this. He's been closing this door. He's been opening that opportunity, or closing that opportunity and opening this door, so that you could be here prepared now to help people get into the kingdom. Following him and leading others to the revelation of the truth. That is why he's got you here. I'm also talking to myself here. Those people who have gone through nothing, those who have led a soft life, who have not had an adversity at all to speak of, generally speaking, they won't be able to endure. If I'm not mistaken, you're probably someone who has endured things. So remember that the people who have not endured anything, when push comes to shove, they're going to be the first ones to go, I'm done. I can't handle this. You know, the drama queens, the people who you've seen, or the drama kings, because there are a lot of those, he would not be able to use them. They'll be the first ones gone. So he's preparing you. I want you to remember that. I'm going to end with a scripture that I learned as a child. I realize now that it was put in me for such a time as this. So I'm going to read, because it is, I put in the proper names of Yah, and it's not in my memory quite yet. I remember some of it. I remember a lot of it, but it's not with the restored name. So I'm going to read it, okay? So it's Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 to 17. And yes, we had this memorized as kids. This is incredible what I now look back and see that I memorized from that time. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yah and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of Hasatan. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. And this world is really dark right now, isn't it? Against spiritual wickedness in heavenly places, or high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. I never realized that this verse means that having done all that you can do, then you can stand. So that means you've got to prepare. You've got to prepare. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of shalom. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you can quench, or you shall be able to quench, all the fiery darts of the wicked. And faith is an action word. It's not meaning just sit there and Yah's going to do it for you. You've got to put feet to it. And take the helmet of salvation, which is the word of Yah. Again, that's Torah. Torah has to be inside of you so that you can be protected. So my life, even though I look back and go, what did I do? What is my life all about? It was preparation for now, for doing these YouTube videos, for goodness sake, for bringing people to the gospel, for bringing people closer to Yah. If you're looking back on your life and you're going, I don't get it, I don't know why I went through all of this, Yah, now it doesn't matter. He was giving you things that could help you in your walk at the end, because we're going to need lots and lots and lots of stamina and fortitude and all of that stuff. So all those things weren't in vain. They were preparation. Some of them, yeah, you do have to forget some of the things that you learned in Christianity. But he was preparing you for such a time as this. So I hope this was helpful to someone, or more than one person. That would be even greater. But at least to one person, because that's what Yah sent me here for, to prepare and to speak and to encourage women as they go through the last days. So, until the next video, I'm wishing you shalom. Bye-bye.
Chosen generation, we've been called for to show His excellence.